by the ones who circle round to tend these. Hi there, my name is Tercy Engelhardt, and I would like to welcome you to the Unreasonably Grateful podcast, Living in Grace by Choice. So, welcome. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that we have this time together. And, you'll see that I oftentimes say, you matter. I want to make sure you know that you matter. You matter in my journey. I believe that we were intended to journey this life together, to find like minded or even different minded people that we can travel this road with and learn from one another. I also believe that we're here to learn how to let more love flow through us. And that's kind of always in the background, whatever I might be sharing from my now 39 years of recovery from dealing with abuse and addiction and living with an eating disorder, and now learning how to really step into being who I was created to being, which is my wish for you. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so grateful that you're here. All right, so this particular episode's called The Meaning of a Midair Collision. And I just want to start by saying last night, as I was preparing to go to bed, I got the news of this midair collision between a passenger plane and a military helicopter. And I did see it on the screen through the imagery that they were showing. And then both the plane and the helicopter landed in the Potomac River. And it's winter. It's cold. It's cold water. I think they said 38 degrees. It's also shallow. In the area where they fell, it could be somewhere between 3 and 7 feet deep. And when I went to bed, they were still in a rescue mission looking for survivors. And then this morning it turned into no survivors. They had discovered 27, I think 26 bodies from the plane and one of the military men from the helicopter at that point. So again, we're faced with this tragic loss. And I want to remind all of us who are doing this work that everything that happens is an opportunity for us to discover places within ourselves that are up for healing, that are up for letting the loss or the scars or the wounds come to the surface so that we can learn from them and we can create more space, more opening for a loving understanding. And certainly when there's tragic loss, I notice for myself, I go to a deeper appreciation for everything that's already in my life. And, just like when I was a child, I remember learning the Bible, and one of the things was put yourself in the place of the nativity. Who would you be if you were there? And what would that be like for you? And I found myself doing that with this particular situation. I actually worked for the airlines for several years. I was an in-flight attendant, and I found myself thinking about where you are just moments before landing. And I thought about it from the perspective of the people who were working for the airlines to care for the passengers of that plane. I found myself thinking about it from the passenger who's preparing to disembark from the plane, meet a loved one. And then I learned that there were a few or several champion ice skaters on that flight and coaches from both the United States and from Russia. And I found myself thinking about the perspective of an athlete, somebody who's just coming back from a meet or from a training, and they're getting ready to get off of a plane, and the relationship between those people and the speed by which this may have all happened. And oh my gosh, I just found myself so deep in the empathy for these different people. And then I heard the interview of a man who was waiting to meet his wife, and he had received a text from her that said, "We're getting ready to land. I'll see you in 20 minutes." And he had replied. And in the time that he had replied, the accident had happened. And so she never received whatever his message was, but it began to alert him to something's not right. So let's all just take a breath. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And one of the things that I believe that we can do, those of us who weren't immediately impacted by that, one of the things we can do is step back and appreciate every breath that we take, appreciate how quickly all of the first responders arrived on that scene, people who stayed up all night in boats and on fire vehicles and on ambulances and buses, and all the reporters and all the people who arrived at that scene, praying that they would discover survivors. And we can be grateful for the sacrifice that all of those first responders make. And we can be grateful for how hard people worked to try to have a better outcome. And we can be grateful for those people who are now going to be supported as they mourn the loss of loved ones. And we can be grateful for those coaches who dedicated their lives after being their own Olympic champions to the training of younger people in the same sport that they excelled in. And keep going. See how much gratitude you can bring up. See how deeply you can explore the possibility of grace. And then this morning, I received a call from a dear friend, and he was sharing with me the experience he had of the work that his aunt, who had been his mother, who had stepped in and adopted him when he was 5, who had been his mother, the work that she had done over the course of her lifetime as she became a Buddhist and practiced Buddhist practices, and how all of that, all of what she was doing in her spiritual journey was actually preparing her for these final moments that she had had with her nephew or son. And my friend, how much work he had done over the course of his lifetime to prepare him for the final moments that he would have with her, and how they were able to get complete for themselves their relationship. All the years of him wanting something from her that she wasn't able to give, and all the years of her wanting something from him that he wasn't able to give. And yet, before she transitioned from this life as we know it, they were able to get complete. They were able to love and appreciate one another. He was able to call her mom, which he had always wanted. And it had me thinking about how important it is that no matter what we might be doing or where we might be going, that we always leave the people we love and care for knowing how loved they are. Given that there could be some loss of life in that separation, and there might not be the opportunity to get those relationships full of the love that they were designed for and that they're capable of and that we're worthy of and the other person is worthy of. And so this week, I want to remind you, see if you can't take on practicing, actually making sure that everybody in your life is very aware of how much you love them. No matter what the condition of the relationship is. Remember, you can be disagreeing with somebody. You can have political differences. You can have medical differences. You can have social norms that are different. And you can still love them. Love isn't based on circumstance. It isn't based on agreement. It isn't based on they're doing what you say or what you like or they believe the same way you do. No, love is without conditions. Agape love is without conditions. It's loving. It's letting that love energy flow through you into the life of another and actually being responsible for how that lands. So it lands in a way that they can actually receive it. So, for example, in the case of my friend, When he finally called her mom, it was breaking down years of walls that were built between the two of them. What he said landed in her world like an opportunity for her, like something she could step into and own, that she had, in fact, adopted and raised him, that she had, in fact, been his mother, and he could appreciate and love her for that. So that's what I want us to do this week, you and me, all of us, is remember to make sure that as we step away from the people that we love, whatever stepping away might look like, or maybe you stepped away a long time ago and you haven't stepped back into recreating that connection, that you let the people in your life know how loved they are. And if there's anyone in your life that you think could benefit from this message, share this particular podcast with them. And maybe in lieu of you being able to have that conversation, I can have that conversation with them, because I'm happy to do that. I believe that there's so much love that wants to express itself through us. And no matter what our resistance might be to letting that love fill us and flow from us, we can get beyond that. And we can particularly get beyond that together. So take that on this week. I'll take it on too. And I will be here next week to see you. And I want to let you know that I can't wait. So I'll be here, and I look forward to seeing you then. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.